Yo, have you heard about Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome everyone to the L7C podcast. Today we have a very special episode for you guys today. We have our pop culture expert, Miss Chelsea Hepburn, back with us. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing really great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And like I said, today's a very special episode because Chelsea picked this topic. And the topic really goes well with the times that we're in right now. Plus, it goes well with the summertime and people thinking about their bodies more and more during the summer. So, Chelsea, what are we talking about?
We are going to be talking about body image and body positivity and what that means, but also going into a more in-depth look at how sometimes what we see on media affects who we are as people. And we're just going to tackle it.
Fine. Yeah. So let's start with body dysmorphia disorder. Mm-hmm. What is that?
So body dysmorphic disorder is a mental illness involving obsessive focus on a perceived flaw in appearance. So it could be something that's minor or even imagined, but someone will spend hours in their day kind of focusing on it, and it becomes part of their image. So you hear a lot of the extreme cases in media of people spending thousands and thousands of dollars just trying to get themselves to look like a certain image because it makes themselves feel better. Post Malone actually kind of suffers from it. He's been quoted on record several times talking about how why the reason he has all of his face tattoos and kind of changes his look is because when he looked in the mirror for the longest time, he hated what his face looked like, and it was a way to cope with that.
So then with that, so then how does that affect the normal people?
I personally kind of struggle with it. I lost about 20 pounds over last year, and there will be days where I still think my body still looks like it did when I started getting back on track and getting healthy again. So I find myself kind of looking at myself like in a different size, even though my body's different. And in the fall, I kind of had a weird epiphany when I was clothes shopping because I thought I was one size when I wasn't. So I still struggle with finding clothes that fit me because I just perceive myself in a different way than what I currently am.
So with that, for normal people, when I say normal people, not rich and famous people, are we influenced then by the rich and famous, or what we're seeing? I know we talked about this on the dating podcast, Instagram. Is that a main? Honestly,
I think TikTok right now is the biggest example of it because there's so many trends that come about. There's the 12-3-30 trend, working out on a treadmill to get back in shape. Trend? Yeah, so you set the incline to 12 and then you put the speed to 3 and you just walk for 30 minutes, which is a great practice to get into. But I think people just put unrealistic expectations that it'll work really fast. But then you also see so many people who put out really cute outfits, and then you have to kind of look and see is it actually fashionable or is the person just skinny? And there's a lot of people who kind of delve into that. And I think there's a lot more openness in terms of talking about eating and just different disordered types of eating, but then you go back right around and see the ideal of like, oh, this girl or this person wakes up super early, drinks her tea, does their workout, goes to work, and lives a super productive lifestyle, and then you don't see the other end.
Oh, that's a really good point. Because I was guessing more with like social media and on TikTok, since it is summer now, and this is where all of this thing is intensified with summer bod ready, bathing suits. I guess on TikTok, are they doing the bathing suit challenges, like trying on different bathing suits?
Oh yeah, clothing, bathing suits, outfits, like it's become such a moment. Like you're not dressing to wear clothes, you're dressing for whatever you're doing. So if you're having a beach day with your girls, you are getting the cutest swimsuit, you're getting a cute cover up, just like cute accessories because you want to be seen in it, and like that's fantastic, but I don't think it's feasible. But with purchasing all of those clothes and trying to fit into those different looks comes like that inkling of like, can I pull this off? Do I have the right body for this? Like, what if when I sit, my stomach shows? Like, just those thoughts start to creep in, and everyone has them.
Yeah, and I think with especially the sitting stomach shows with social media, they are not posting like those type of pictures. So like if you get a young 16, 17, 18-year-old tuning into these TikToks and whatnot and seeing someone who has millions of followers, they look perfect, and then you're just looking at yourself like...
You see that and you think, gosh, like that could never be me, so I can't wear a swimsuit on my school trip, or I can't wear a swimsuit with my friends and family. And it also, like, there's no positive way to view it too, because even if you have that body, if you are younger, you might get told to cover it up. So there's two ends of the spectrum of what people deem appropriate versus attractive too. So that also plays like a subtle role in how you choose to dress and how you perceive yourself.
Because I guess, too, because those people are getting the most attention. Like, if I go on Instagram just right now on a home screen and type in swimsuit, you'll just see all of these models, and they'll have thousands upon thousands of likes, and everyone wants to be liked in some way, shape, or form. So if, like, you post a swimsuit picture and you only get, like, 5, and then, like, someone else posts one and gets, like, 100,000, you want to be like them, and then you're... down this spiral. But besides celebrities affecting people, what about like friend groups? Like,
oh yes, that absolutely plays a hand. If you have a different body or a different eating habit than what your other friends might have, there's often times where people will kind of mimic what their friends are doing, and then kind of take a look at themselves and be like, why can't I be the person who's like my best friend? Why does she have like the great body? And then it kind of spurs like resentment almost between friends. Or if you're having a bad day about your body image, but you know your friend struggles more consistently, you find yourself thinking, well, I can't talk about my problems because I don't want to bring up their problems, that type of thing.
Man, that's a very, very good thing, especially depending on where both of you are in life. If both of you are single trying to date somebody and one person's getting all the attention at the beach and you're just sitting there. Yeah,
like off to the side. My best friend and I, she's always worked out. Like she has always like maintained like some sort of athleticism. Like it's fantastic. I love Netflix. But we started working out together last spring, like early spring, and continued it for a very long time. But it was really great, and like it was honestly helpful to get started. But then I got an Apple Watch, and we could share like how many calories you burn specifically. And I found myself in the fall kind of going into a downward spiral because of that. Because I would see like how much my friend would burn or how much somebody else would burn and be like, why is that not happening to me? But it's like, oh, I just worked 10 hours and I had to go do this or I needed to do that. Like, So there's multitudes of factors about why, but then you just see those numbers and then you become like hyper fixated on them.
So then where do you toe the line on body dysmorphia? Because I think everyone has something like, oh, I would want to improve this. Let me try and improve this. So where do we go from that to it's unhealthy to keep thinking about that? Like, how do we toe that line to wanting to be better, but then getting dangerously like
I
deluded
think
thoughts?
You have to kind of be more self-aware. Like, this is not something where a friend can kind of look at you and be like, why are you focusing so much on this flaw? Unless you are super vocal about it. But at the same time, that's kind of hard to step in. So self-reliance is key. Like, when I started really paying attention to those numbers, and then I found myself like weighing myself a lot, that's when I kind of stepped back and was like, this is not good for me. I know I'm creating a pattern. I need to stop this before it becomes part of what I do every single day for months or years. But then if it also becomes more serious, which it does, I think looking more into healthcare, especially if you have access to it, that is incredibly beneficial. And if you don't have access, finding that support group, because yes, TikTok or social media can show you the bad and it kind of perpetrates like that image, but there's a lot of really good people out there who are trying to talk more about it. There's someone on TikTok that I saw recently that was talking about food as more energy rather than calories. So when you take away that word, it just becomes something to fuel your body so that way you can accomplish all the things that you can do. So it kind of turns it in your brain a little bit.
So then going off of body dysmorphia, we talked about like the working out and all that stuff, but there's also the dieting, which there is a negative diet culture out there. So what is that?
So it's the belief that your appearance and body shape is more important than your overall physical and psychological health, along with your general well-being. Because you can be someone who on the scale weighs a certain amount or carries their weight in different proportions than the average person, but you can be more in shape and more healthy. It's just the way your body's made. But you could also be suffering from PCOS. You could have a thyroid disease or an autoimmune disease too that also impacts your ability to lose weight or change your body.
So then with the dieting, because like the first definition talking about like your appearance and all of that stuff, but now I just don't even feel like that's a media thing. That's like a now life thing, because if you don't look a certain way in like a normal job interview, and if both abilities are the same, they'll be like, well, like it's just studies that this person thinks this person looks better, and then they
like when people see someone who may be overweight or struggling with acne or whatever the case may be, they kind of associate them with negative words, so like sloppy or ineffective, things like that, versus somebody who appears to be healthy and have that appearance of, oh, this person is organized versus this person who is sloppy. And that's not fair, because people who are heavier have a harder time of finding clothes because the fashion industry doesn't take into account different body types and body like fits. They are working on it as a whole, I think, but even now, just to bring celebrities back into it, you have certain stars who have had to buy things off the rack because a designer won't work with them or won't have their sample size.
So then how do we combat diet culture in this day and age? Because I feel like the further we go from 2022 to onward, it gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. I think the first step begins with our healthcare system. If you go to a doctor, they are automatically going to look at the BMI chart. And the first thing that you do when you step into an office is ask you to get on a scale. Like, that is one of the very first things that you do. You walk in, sign in, take it to the back. Oh, here's a scale. Get on it. So I think it starts with our healthcare system. Finding ways that if you do need to weigh someone, maybe getting creative and hiding the weight or becoming more discreet with it, including don't put the scale in the hallway where everyone can see. It doesn't matter what size you are. That's so uncomfortable. Like putting scales in the rooms and making them more discreet with the numbers. And then also not bringing up the BMI, because everyone is obese or overweight. It doesn't matter. If you look at that scale, it will show you that you're at a certain percentage.
So then going from there, you also talked about like how appearance doesn't like equal health. Mm-hmm. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So appearance definitely doesn't equal health. People often associate skinny people with being the healthier person, when that's not necessarily true. People can be thin and underweight with the inability to gain weight, which is making them unhealthy. But then there's also the culture of diets, which then can cause people to suffer from bulimia, anorexia nervosa, and other eating disorders as well. So while you might have that outside appearance, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the right track.
So then also with, I guess, going from that part, because I know we're going to talk about like body positivity and all of that stuff. So I feel like then with the doctors and all of that stuff, I do agree with the weight thing. I've never actually thought about it, how you just walk in there and unless you've been going to your doctor for a long time and that same nurse who weighs you, which isn't all that common, but you walk in there, room full of strangers, and depending on how much you're like stripping down clothes wise to get that extra weight off, and you're doing that in front of strangers, and then they just hand that to your doctor, and your doctor comes back, he's like, you've gained 20 pounds since the last time I saw you.
Right? What's going on?
We're going to need to get a grip on that. I feel like that's actually a very good point I've never thought about. But I do think with the doctors, though, depending on what that person does at a physical, because another thing is a lot of people don't go to their physicals, and I would highly recommend, since that's one of the few things your health insurance gives you for free.
Yep.
You should go, because it's like not just about the weight, but also getting your blood work and all of that done. Because if you are like a certain weight, but then you're breathing harder when you're just doing normal stuff,
like that's absolutely a
you
concern.
need to get checked on that. And then that's when it's like, hey, maybe we should work some stuff out. Because I agree with like the weight and stuff, but if it gets to a point where you can't do normal things and it's starting to hurt, you need to make a different life change. I'm not saying you need to diet down and look like Chris Hemsworth, but you do need to diet, like do something that you stay alive longer.
Absolutely. And there's also making food, like healthier food, more accessible and more cost friendly. It doesn't matter the budget. Like health food is expensive.
Yes, it is.
So much more expensive than going through a fast food place.
Which is a problem.
Like that's absolutely an issue, because if things were more affordable, I think more people would have access. So then you can go, which goes back to, you could be super thin and not be healthy. If you're someone who is only eating Taco Bell every day or eating like French fries every day, your body is lacking so many nutrients. It doesn't matter what size you are not getting the food and the energy that you need to function as a human. And that's so detrimental to your liver and kidneys and heart and everything else.
So then with body positivity, like how do we make it in a way that like people are positive about their bodies, but they're also positive about like, if I want to make a change, like if I want to be healthier, it's going to be for me. I feel like when you hear the words body positivity, some group think it's, I mean, just for lack of a better term, they think it's fat people giving themselves a reason to be fat.
Yeah.
Another group thinks that, hey, it's just about like loving you for who you are and things like that. And then there's another group who is just like, I don't want to change, whatever happens, body positivity. So how do we find like the right term from like all three of these groups?
I think the middle one for me is more of my definition of body positivity, just because it fits me personally. But I think maybe coming up with a more clear definition to be taught rather than like heard about through social media and through family, but including it in your elementary school kids, like starting that early so that way they know that it's okay, and that they have the tools necessary to learn how to eat healthy, but also indulge when they want to and need to, and learning how to balance all of that. Because when you hit middle school, high school, that's when you're allowed to start making choices for yourself, and that can directly impact your future. And if you have a family home that does not instill those kind of values and practices, that can be so damaging long term as well.
Yeah, because I think now everyone just thinks they need to look like that hot star on TV or that hot star on Instagram or TikTok. And it's sometimes, I mean, with working out and being active and staying healthy, it's about your health. I don't think you should ever work out to try and impress a significant other or things like that, which is a common thing. But for stuff like you want to be around longer for your pets or your family or your friends and all of that, because you don't want to not take care of yourself and then you're having these health issues and then you're sitting there thinking that I should have taken care of better myself.
I should have done this or that. But then it also becomes, for like men in particular, like the expectation to go to the gym to reach a certain size, so then you use supplements and other means and you're just focusing on that. That also plays a role into like your general health and being there for a long time, because I know there's plenty of men out there who see those images and say, I want arms like that, how can I get it? But your body is just your body, and it might not ever attain that no matter what you do.
I think also with men, and then it's different for women, but for like men, they're told that women want guys who look a certain way, so they're working out to look that certain way to then attract the women. And then women are told guys are only attracted to women that look a certain way, so that women are now in the gym working out to achieve that. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and you're just like, why did I do all of this? And then this guy picked another girl over me, or this girl picked another guy over me, and then you're in a
never-ending cycle.
Or the biggest one, the revenge bod.
Yeah,
I mean, that is
Khloe Kardashian had a show about that.
She was probably one of the first and probably the most like famous person, because 2007, 8. I mean, she didn't look like her sisters.
No,
like,
she
from
did
a
not.
physical standpoint, she did not look like her sisters. Everyone called her not everyone, but
it was a general term.
It was a general term that she was the ugly Kardashian.
Yeah.
So then when she had her breakup, that was with Lamar, she decided that she was going to work out. It's just sad that the catalyst was the breakup and not herself personally. So then she changes her appearance, and now everyone's like, she's the best looking Kardashian. Oh my gosh.
The most interesting.
So it went from, her personality was still the same that it was in 2007 to 2022.
Yeah.
The only thing that changed was her physique, and now all of these people who hated her, like from a physical thing, are like, oh my gosh, she's the best Kardashian, I want to be with her, yada yada. But then on the flip side, and this happened with Adele, and we talked about it, Adele lost 100 pounds for herself.
Correct.
But then a lot of her fans said that she turned their back on them because she was a bigger singer, and they like saw themselves like, oh, if Adele can be that size and she's winning all these Grammys and all that, that's good for us. But now, she lost weight, so now, you know, she sucks, and they turned their back on Adele. The same thing happened with the comedian Rebel Wilson.
Yes, it absolutely did.
She lost weight for herself, but then fans are like, F you, because now you're one of those skinny people and we don't resonate. So how do you win?
You don't at all. Like, there's no winning. There's always going to be someone who's going to have a critique on your body and what you look like. from a stereotypical, like, top level, like, oh, this is my first judgment of you. But that goes back to coming up with a more definitive answer for what is body positive. Like, if you are doing it for yourself, then other people need to respect that and understand that, yes, you were a certain size bigger or smaller, but now you're making the choice for yourself to change your body and change your habits and make either positives or necessary changes so that way you can overcome an obstacle or achieve a goal.
And I think also with the celebrity ones, because that's always a big comparison, because you're looking at these celebrities in movies and they just look amazing, all of that. Obviously they have more stuff, like they have the professional chefs, they have like the workout thing, like all that.
Yeah, they have somebody to do
like
their laundry, all of that good stuff.
Instead of like normal people. But I feel like besides comparing yourself to celebrities, the hardest thing for a normal person to compare themselves is to themselves. So like when you first graduate from like a high school, college, and you're out in a couple years, and then you go on and you see some of your old pictures and you're like,
wow,
I used to look like this, now I look like this, and now you get super depressed. Like that you versus you, like once you start scrolling, you're just like, oh my god, what happened to me?
Completely different. But also, you're at a different age. Like, your body's absolutely going to change. Your body in high school was not the same body that you had in elementary school.
That's true.
It's not the same body that you're going to have in 10 years from now. It doesn't matter as much. I think you just need to make sure that you're being healthy, whatever that is for you. But also, your high school self may not have known that you were going to experience a medical issue for 2.5 years that prevented you from doing X, Y, and Z. Just like your current self might not know that you're going to have that issue. Or if you had a kid in between then, like that absolutely plays a factor. Like, your body is going to change. And I think that needs to be discussed more and made more open. It's not just your body, but it's your skin, it's your makeup routines, it's everything about you. You change every 7 to 10 years. Your whole being changes.
So with us being where we're at on Midwest, it's coming to the first weekend where cookouts are happening, the pools are opening up, and obviously people getting dusted off the tank tops, the swim trunks, the bathing suits, and obviously like everyone's just looking at each other. What would be your message for everyone going into the summer about people who are insecure about their bodies?
I think finding that one outfit or two outfits that make you feel confident is such an important key just to start the season off right. Like, I think once you find that and you get more comfortable being out in public or being in those scenarios with that outfit that you're confident in, then it's naturally going to become easier. And the more you're going to be adventurous and try new things and be okay with the fact that, yes, I have stretch marks, but this top is super, super cute and makes you feel that certain way. And try not to compare yourself. I know it's impossible and hard, but doing the best that you can, because you don't know what someone else is going through or what they might be insecure about, because everyone has insecurities. It doesn't matter who you are.
That's true. Chelsea, anything else on body image, body positivity, anything else?
I think that it's a conversation that people need to have more with themselves and with each other, and something to take stock of every once in a while. It's something that people put on the back burner because they're focused too much on the end goal or the end result, but checking in with yourself and seeing how you are at that current moment.
That's a good message. The only thing I have left that Chelsea hasn't said is, again, just do it for you. If you want to make the change because you want to get healthier or you want to achieve something for you and not for someone else, not your significant other, your parents, your friends, go for it. Make sure you're doing it healthily. No like starving yourself, no overdosing on drugs, anything like that. Make sure you're doing it in a healthy, right way. And when you feel good about yourself, looking in the mirror, Don't worry about what the scale says. Like, if you're feeling good, that's what matters.
And everyone else will be able to tell when you're feeling good.
That is true.
It translates.
That's true. On the side note, since the last time we recorded, congratulations to one of Chelsea's favorite people on the planet, Rihanna.
Yes!
The birth of her first child.
The first child, but where's the album? I know you've got a lot going on.
I'm telling you, just give
But
up.
it's so exciting. That baby's going to be beautiful.
Just give it
With
up.
ASAP's smile and Rihanna's Rihanna.
And
Like, that child is going to be stunning.
well, hopefully the media leaves them alone for a bit so they don't get in trouble. But, and then also Johnny Depp and Amber, her day 22-ish of their trial.
That is sloppy. That whole trial is messy. Including the expert witness that was on the stand today. He is the human version of Scuttle from Ariel.
So what would you do if you were, like, in that courtroom? Like, if you were advising Amber or Johnny, like, what would you want done?
Ooh. I don't think there's advising Amber. I think her lawyers are doing the best that they can with the situation that they've got. I don't think there's anything that can be done with her. But with Johnny, his team is phenomenal. Like, Camille is legendary. His relationship with each and every single one of those members of that team, you can just see how much they believe in him and how forthcoming and clear he's been. So my advice to Johnny would have been to pick that team who you know will go to bat for you.
Awesome. Chelsea, do you know what we're talking about next? Do you have an idea?
I don't know.
Oh, we're just going to have to wait and see.
We might. I mean, we could talk about the trial, potentially.
It's all up to you. We work for you.
Ooh.
So you just pick the topic.
I don't have to pay you, right?
No. With that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Make sure you like, rate, comment, subscribe anywhere you're listening. And you guys take care, and remember to take care of yourself for yourself. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.